Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening to the show for the first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify, we're on Audio Boom. We're across a range of different audio platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And, of course, we are also live on YouTube reviewing a Tottenham Hotspur win. Isn't that nice, eh? A Tottenham Hotspur win. I've got three great returning guests. First up, fresh off the back of his own international break, we've got the brilliant Lee McQueen in the house. Lee, how are you? Lovely to have you back on. You well?
I think they call it warm weather training, don't they? I think they call it in the profession of football. Luckily for me, I'm not a professional footballer. Mostly lucky for you lot, I'm nowhere near Spurs being a professional footballer. But yeah, I'm back, mate. So I had a few days, unfortunately not a few days off of in midweek watching that dross. But come back for the weekend, and yeah, fantastic result for us. I'm sure we'll get into it, and I think it's a fantastic lineup that we've put together tonight, Rick. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it with the lads.
Oh, man, brilliant. And also delighted to have him back on the show. Such is the nature, obviously, of the way, obviously, Chris at the moment, bless him, he's at the games, then recording straight after. It's been tricky to navigate and find a way to bring him on. So lovely to have Chris Cowlin back on the Last One on Spurs. Chris, how are you? Lovely to have you back on.
Evening, Ricky. Lovely to be on with you guys this evening, and lovely to be talking about a win, particularly after Wednesday night's result.
Fantastic. Like I say, Chris, doesn't so much change in the space of 7 days. Where we could have got you, depending on the week, it could have been a very, very different show. But such is the nature of Tottenham Hotspur. We'll be getting into all that, of course. And also, Johnny's already a massive fan. We're delighted to also be welcoming back to the Last One on Spurs. Fair to say it's been a really, really long time. We've got the brilliant Jamie Weir, presenter, of course, of Sky Sports News. Jamie, lovely to have you here. How are you?
Lovely to be here. Thank you very much. Quite the build-up. And thank you to Johnny Boy, one of my biggest fans. I think that might be my mum, and there's a pseudonym or something. But yeah, no, listen, great to be on, and it's great to see smiles on everybody's face. There's no reason for optimism for once. So, bring it on.
Yeah, give it 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah, give it 24 hours, exactly.
It can all change, as you know, obviously, with Tottenham and, of course, the social media of the world of Tottenham. But listen, we are here talking about a Tottenham Hotspur win. I must just say before we start the show, obviously, there are, and it's hard to believe, obviously, bigger and more important things in the world going on apart from Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. So, of course, our thoughts and prayers with everybody, of course, in Ukraine at the moment, and wish, obviously, everybody well. Now, like I say, back to football. Lee, coming around to you. Really good afternoon for Spurs up in the west of Yorkshire, of course, on Saturday lunchtime, as Spurs left the game with a 4-goal margin. Some really good stuff from Spurs at times. You need to bounce back in style. Antonio Conte mentioned the word character, and it was the perfect reaction to that game against Burnley. What did you make, Lee, of that result, let's say, in Yorkshire and that 4-0 win?
Well, it was much needed. I think that what happened in midweek in that, was it sleet, snow, rain, sodden, soggy pitch? I mean, it's horrendous conditions, and obviously Christmas there, so it talked to you a little bit about that. But I think what happened on that game, we really needed to bounce back, and we did, to be fair. Look, Leeds are struggling. They played perfectly to, I think it was, if there was a perfect game Tottenham needed, it was, oh, look, that's my comment. If it was perfect conditions or perfect team to play, it was Leeds. They leave so much space. They go that man marking, and actually, once you beat that first man, you've got the world opens up. And Harry Kane proved that. I think at times we were brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and we could have scored a lot more than we did. To be fair, we left a couple of holes ourselves. How Stuart Dallas didn't score is just beyond belief. I'm sure we'll come into that in detail again. But look, you got to be happy with that bounce back. And look, I will put my positive spin on it because, a lot has been written, a lot has been said, a lot has been, talked about over the last kind of week or so. But most people, not all, including one of our own crackers, he predicted a Man City loss. So he predicted that we'd win at Man City. But 90% of people, Spurs fans, would have thought we'd have gone to the Etihad and lost. Maybe we'd have got out there with a point. But if we'd have taken 6 points out of a possible 9 with 3 away games in 7 days, would have probably taken that. And that's exactly what we got. Unfortunately, it becomes, if we'd have lost against City and then beat Burnley and beat Leeds, people would have been like, oh, well, we was expected to lose against City. But unfortunately, because we beat City, the Burnley defeat is just really, really hard to stomach. But look, I've called it the crazy train since Jose was appointed, and it still is the crazy train. It's like, you couldn't make it up, could you? Like, it is classic Tottenham. And I think mentally, we were knackered. I think that us mere mortals, not all of you brilliant listeners and viewers, of course, but us mere mortals, I think we don't realise how mentally tough it is to go to a place like Man City and get a result like we did. And, you know, that took its toll, not just physically, but mentally as well. And I think that's where Conte was coming from. We've got obviously the brilliant Jamie to give us an insight in how his buoyant mood was. Jamie was putting the questions to him, right? So how his buoyant mood was. And then it changed like within 24 hours. I was like, wow, this guy's like running Spurs Twitter, isn't he?
Such is the nature of what's been the last week. It's been crazy, chaotic, up and down. And one man that has seen it all with his own eyes has been Chris Cowlin. Chris, just on terms of Leeds firstly, Kane really the star of the show. I mean, a goal and assist, and Kulusevski not far behind, and really good performance from the Swedish international. The wing-backs also very good. I thought Winks done his job, and also nice for Son to get back on the score sheet. Many would probably see it as a job well done. What did you make, Chris, of the performance up at Ellen Road?
Fantastic, an absolutely fantastic performance. Exactly what all of us Spurs fans wanted to see. Exactly what Conte wanted to see. He asked before the game for a good reaction, good performance, for the team to show character and a good result, and he got all of those things. Now, when you look through the team, Lee said there about how did Stuart Dallas not score, because Ben Davies was running 100 miles an hour and give absolutely everything, and everyone done that across the pitch. As you said, Rick, Harry Kane was absolutely sensational, absolute first-class performance from him. But everyone across the pitch was absolutely brilliant. Kulusevski, you know, how on earth did he score a goal when he started at the corner flag to Doherty, and then Doherty to Kulusevski, and then he done the goalkeeper at the near post? It was a really, really good performance, and it's exactly what we all needed. And if we're all honest and frank about it, we all honestly didn't know what to expect in this game against Leeds. We know that they are very good attacking. We know they're very poor defensively. We've had our own problems as well. But when, you know, as a football club, we go to the champions to beat Manchester City 3-2 in the manner that we did, and then, you know, some Spurs fans joked and said, well, we're now going to lose 1-0 at Burnley. And then, of course, that was the reality. You didn't know what to expect. But you know, we're now going into the business end of the season, and if we want any chance of European football next year, it is now about consistency, because, you know, in March we have got some very, very important games coming up, and that is exactly what Conte will be looking for now, the consistency. But overall, I thought it was a really, really good performance, and Kulusevski, I've been very, very impressed with him in the games he's played so far. And, you know, when was the last time that we actually signed a player, a European player, and they've fitted in straight away? Because Bentancur, I know he missed this game, but Bentancur and Kulusevski, they look like they have been at the club for months or years. They're fitted in so well, and it's very, very rare to see that. So really, really good performance. I'm a very happy man.
Before we go to Jamie, because obviously Jamie has spoken to Antonio Conte last week, and that's what I want to touch upon. And Chris, I am going to come back to you, because you are one of the most positive Spurs fans that I know. So, listen, we've had a whole host of listener questions that came in after the show, and I will apologise, because when our social guy, bless him, my cousin, put the tweet out, we did say reviewing Burnley, and listen, we're not going to review Burnley again, just to reassure everybody. We aren't going to reassure Burnley. You got a bollock for that.
That again, Rick.
Yeah, no, I have a word from saying we're definitely not reviewing Burnley. It was Leeds, and Chris, one of the first questions that we had in was from Lily White 10, who said, how do you think Conte's wildly different reactions to results affects the players? And again, you are one of the positive fans I know, so I'm really intrigued to know what your thoughts have been over Antonio Conte's mood over the course of the last 7 to 10 days.
I think he's just very, very frustrated. He is a man, he's a born winner. He's very, very used to winning. And when he's lost 4 games out of 5 in the Premier League, it simply isn't good enough. And I believe that sometimes he's telling players to do certain jobs, and I don't think that they are capable of doing it. And I just think that we need this, you know, we say the same old thing on this channel again and again about this rebuild. We've been talking about rebuilds for the last few years. You know, when you go into that transfer window in the summer of 2019, you know, I'm going to say it again, we hadn't spent a penny in 518 days. You know, in these transfer windows, when we have gone out and spent money, you know, you look at Ndombele and Lo Celso, £100 million on both of them. They're not even in the Tottenham Hotspur squad at the moment. And I just think that he probably wanted more to happen in the January transfer window than what happened. But if we are, as a football club, and the board are going to back him 110%, then we need to really back him in the summer. But I was a little worried about the comments from Conte, but he's a very, very passionate guy. He's very, very used to winning.
Okay, Chris, we haven't got you off the hook yet. We will come back round to you and push you further on Antonio Conte's future.
Just quickly, just before we
Johnny.
bring amazing Jamie in, David Clark on screen makes a really good point, right? We really struggle to dominate teams that are like a low block sides. Like if we're playing ourselves when Jose Mourinho was in charge, we wouldn't be able to score. That's what it feels like. That, you know, if you look at the Burnley game, I know not reviewing that, it's 4-4-2, classic away, windy, wet night in Burnley, blah, 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 all the classic cliches. But we didn't do enough. You know, under Conte, I did this stat the other day, got the blue book out. 7 on average, 7 shots on target, 7 attempts on target under Antonio Conte. Now, when you think of that, when under Nuno weren't even having 1 shot, that's actually cool. And that's taking into account the first game against Everton, we didn't have a shot on target under Conte when we drew 0-0. Against Burnley, we wasn't at the races at all. Defensively, it was all right. But going forward, you know, creativity-wise, we just can't handle the low block against us. And I think David makes a good point on that. And that's why it suited us perfectly playing Leeds. Because I think by everyone knows they don't do any sort of low block whatsoever.
The thing is, Lee, when we're playing every 3 or 4 days, of course, Conte played the same team against Burnley as what he did against Manchester City. It's going to take its toll. You know, these players cannot play every 3 to 4 days. You know, a lot of the teams around us and above us have got real, a real decent squad, and we're very limited at the moment.
Jamie, let's come over to you because just to reassure everybody, yes,
12 minutes into the show, I get to speak.
Jamie, let's be honest. You were interviewing Conte on Tuesday at the post-match presser. So we're really intrigued to kind of get your feelings of the mood of the man because it feels like a lot has happened over the course of the last week. Tell us what it was like when you interviewed him on the Tuesday in isolation. Then we'll come on to obviously what the last week was like.
That Tuesday was obviously the day before the Burnley game, and I put a tweet out. A few people might have read it, just saying I urge any Spurs fans go and watch that press conference from start to finish, because for us journalists, it was our first time being back in the room with him as well, and that makes such a difference. You just get so much more of a back and forth and a rapport with the managers. But he was just so relaxed. He cracked a few jokes, and he just spoke passionately from the heart about how happy he was, how settled he was, and the fact that he comes into the training ground every day with a massive smile on his face because he knows that he's going to spend 2 or 3 hours with good people who just want to soak up everything he has to say like a sponge and work their socks off. And he kept talking about, and he said after the Man City game as well, that this is perhaps the best group of people he's ever worked with. And then, you know, he says what he says after the game on Wednesday, and everybody goes into a blind panic on Twitter. Oh my God, he's going to walk away. He's not going to walk away. I think what he said on Wednesday night was more of a sort of veiled threat to the higher ups at Spurs that, look, I am a world-class manager at the prime of my career at the moment. If you back me this summer, if you listen to what I have to say, I can take this club places. If you're not prepared to do that, then there's only so much I can do with my hands tied behind my back. So I was not that worried, to be honest, with what he said after the game on Wednesday, and I don't think he would have gone into the dressing room and said the same thing to the players either. I think he says 2 different things to the media and to the players. And then again on Friday, he reiterated in his pre-match press conference just how happy he was, that he's not even contemplating walking away, that it's the start of a project there. And look, every single press conference you've seen him give so far, the key word has been patience. He's urged patience. We need patience. It takes time to turn this around. This club has fallen a long way from where it was 3 or 4 years ago, and we need time to rebuild. So, look, he's the best man to have there. And if he gets back this summer, then I think there's a lot of cause to be very optimistic because he's incredibly happy where he is. And it's just adding a few pieces to that jigsaw, because there are already some quality players in that squad. And, to add to what Lee said at the start there, Leeds were the perfect opposition for us to have on Saturday. The margins in the Premier League are very, very fine, and there's such thing as not only good sides to play and bad sides to play, but a good time to play them and a bad time to play them. And Wednesday night was a bad time to play Burnley. It was just after we'd expended a lot of mental energy, as Lee said, against the champions. And also Burnley are playing quite well at the moment. They played Liverpool off the park for the first half in their match at Turf Moor a couple of weeks ago, and very unlucky not to get a result there. They went and scored 3 goals at Brighton, and we all know how good a side Brighton are. So it was a bad time to play Burnley. They made it very difficult for us, and even then there were a few sort of chances here or there that if they go our way, if Harry's header is 2 inches lower than we're 1-0 up, or if Kulusevski's shot is 2 inches further to the right than we're 1-0 up. So they're very fine margins, and I just thought that Saturday, as both of the boys have said, was the perfect response. He asked for some character. He asked the players to show what they're capable of. And from the minute one, Lee put out a tweet before the game saying, "I guarantee we don't have a shot on target for the first half hour." We were 3-0 up after half an hour. So it was the perfect response. And look, like Chris, I'm a glass half full Spurs fan, and I think this could be the start of something very exciting under Antonio Conte. And yet again, to add to another point that both guys made, he's also made a point of saying that the club over the last few years have made too many mistakes in the transfer market, signing good footballers who weren't ready for Premier League football. Well, there's 3 signings we've made this season already: Christian Romero, Dejan Kulusevski, and Rodrigo Bentancur, who are already instantly made for Premier League football. And what a difference all 3 have instantly made to the side. So more of that in the summer, Mr. Paratici, and I think we've all got cause to be optimistic.
Yeah. Jamie, I'm going to change you very quickly because, like you said, you had to wait to 12 minutes to speak. So,
and I spoke for 4 minutes straight.
I just wanted to get your thoughts, Jamie, because again, many people listen. I think Conte retains 99.99% of Spurs supporters. I would like to think. Again, I'm not speaking for Spurs fans because again, everybody definitely got their own opinion. But I just wonder, what the feeling is around the dressing room when you get that reaction from the players after Burnley. Does that have a positive effect? I've seen some people saying it's been a counterproductive attempt, really. What's your thoughts on that from the players' perspective?
From what I understand, the players are, like I said, just enjoying every single second in his company and just are aware that he is a world-class coach, a serial winner. But not just that, because Jose Mourinho was a world-class coach and a serial winner. But we got him after he'd done all that. We're getting now a world-class coach and a serial winner at the prime of his career. There's no arguably about it. He's one of the top 5 coaches in world football, and he's at our club. So I think the players are aware of that, and they're just soaking up everything he has to say. From what I understand, there's an incredibly close relationship has already developed between the players and his backroom staff as well. So I think it's a happy place to be at the moment. And, they will have been aware that they fell below the standards that he demands on Wednesday night at Burnley. And then they did the best thing they possibly could. They went out the very next game and they were 3-0 up within half an hour and cruising. And as the boys both said, every single player on that pitch put in a performance yesterday. There wasn't one player you could say, "Oh, he had a niffy game." Ben Davies going out herring back at 100 miles an hour to stop Stuart Dallas. Harry Kane. I just actually, for that final goal for Sunday's goal, I just laughed at that Kane pass. Every single time I watched the replay, I was just laughing. I was like, that's just ridiculous. How can you play a pass like that? And everybody, and the really exciting thing for the first goal, the 2 wing backs combining, and that's what he wants to see. And those 2 wing backs probably won't be our 2 starting wing backs next season either. But to see the sort of second string wing backs that we have combining for a goal, I know we'll probably get into the match in more detail in a bit.
Yeah.
But there was so much to be positive about yesterday. And yes, it was a good time to play Leeds. Yes, they're dropping like a stone at the moment in the Premier League, and their manager's been fired off the back of that performance. But you still got to go out. You can only play the players that the opposition they were put in front of you, and we did that, and we were dominant from minute 1 to minute 90.
Yeah, that was a very good performance. We are going to come on to a bit more detail. Lee, can I just want to come over to you, Lee, because I just want to get your thoughts. I mean, you've been off for a week, so Conte in that last week, obviously it's been a crazy week where Spurs, of course, with that incredible high of beating the champions in their own backyard. Then on Wednesday night to Conte, I know Jamie said we shouldn't worry. It almost felt like a threat to walk, and then he goes and wins 4-0 and the guy he defeats loses his job. It's been, I'd say, a week is a long time in football. I mean, what have you made of Conte and just the whole clamour around, obviously, him and the post-match reactions?
Well, I think that's. I mean, I want to ask Jamie another question off the back of that, if I could, and it kind of will help me answer the question that you just asked me, which is when I analyse, when you take the emotion out of watching his press conference and you watch it again. I'll be honest with you, I watched it a few times. He did make a couple of comments that almost suggested that if the board thinks it's his fault, he's up for walking away. Like it wasn't like he was going, I'm going to walk because I'm not getting what I want. He's already said, and I think he answered this directly to you, Jamie, as well. I love Decky. I can't say his name. Sorry, mate. So Decky and Bentancur, or as we love, Ricky Bentancur. Then he already mentioned about the fact that he signed them, or since we signed him, he did use the words "I" as well at some point. So he's happy with them too. And then he used the words, if the board isn't happy, then kind of I'll walk away. So when you look at it again, you kind of go, is he threatening to walk, or is he threatening to go, look, if you don't think I'm good enough, I'm happy to go because I want to help the club? That's slightly different, isn't it, Jamie?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would go along with you there. That's what I read into it as well. It wasn't sort of like, I'm going to walk. It was more sort of, look, if you think that I'm the one to blame for not turning this around, then fine. But as I said, every single press conference I've heard him give so far, he's used the word patience. We need patience. Every time. And that's exactly what he was saying on Wednesday night. He said, look, I think you should have some patience with me. But if you think that I'm the man to blame for having not turned it around in that sort of... Oh, there goes my microphone. Then I'm prepared to walk away. I was, having been at his press conference on Tuesday as well, it was so refreshing and lovely to hear how happy and settled he is at the club. So I don't think anybody should be worried about him walking anytime soon.
It's interesting as well because Spursy Vibes actually said there as well that he or she's agreeing with us about kind of, four losses. There you go, 4 losses out of 5. I think a little bit he was feeling the heat here on himself. He's thinking, hang on a minute, I'm a perfectionist. I don't want these results. These are. I don't think he was almost coming out and saying, I'm going to walk because, the board hasn't given me 300 million in January. I'm thinking he's thinking to himself, blimey, I've been working here 4 months and this lot still ain't getting it here. Do you know what I mean? And that is slightly different. But look, I'm not going to lie. As a fan, purely as a fan, when you see Conte here and then Conte here within the matter of 3 days, you do think to yourself, whoa, that does feel a little bit like that we're walking on eggshells. Yeah. It feels like, and I've said this before on the show probably a couple of times. I think I said this on your show as well, Chris. It does feel like that you've managed to go out to a nightclub, pull like an absolute A star, right, male or female, and then you've got them back and you're thinking, holy moly, how have I managed to do that? Right, well,
then you're terrified of upsetting them.
I can at this person to keep them, and you're waking up next thinking, oh, she's going to leave me or he's going to leave me. And it does feel a bit.
And she says every third day, I'm thinking of leaving you.
Yeah. I'm at that nightclub tonight, and you're thinking, whoa, no, don't go. No, you can stay in. So it's that kind of vibe, and I just feel that. that needs to change. But equally, this is where I was really, really impressed. And this is in the last 3 games as well. Since them defeats against Southampton and Wolverhampton Wanderers, look at that, not even Wolves, I gave them their full credit name. I've been, again, maybe I'm looking too much into this. I've been really impressed with the ability to beat a press, the ability to start doing triangles, the ability to do one... Something has almost clicked in them training sessions. The last 3 games in particular, they're not afraid to do it. And typically, I would be afraid that they're trying it. Oh, why are you going short again? What? But we've got to reverse out of what has been pounded into them players over the last kind of 2 years, 3 years as well. And actually, I was really impressed with Dyer coming back into that side and giving us just, I don't know, a level of assurance at the back that we can make them passes out, and Romero that side, and Ben Davies is just a lot more balance there. And look, let's be honest, we kept a clean sheet, and that is the first time I think we've kept a clean sheet under in the league under Antonio Conte since I think Brentford.
Yep.
Yeah, I might check my blue book on that.
It was
a long
Brentford,
time, lads, isn't it? Viewers, listeners, that's a long time. So it is concerning that he's kind of up and down, but I think the problem is, and I'll summarise by saying this, Rick. The problem is with Tottenham is we are desperate, and I know there's other rival fans in here as well, and they'll be laughing, whatever. But we are desperate to win something. We're desperate for success. We are literally every time something goes well, we want to celebrate it because it's like, okay, we've turned a corner, and then as soon as we get a Burnley result again, we're like, oh, we're back down. And I think at the moment, Conte's experiencing that a bit. But if there's one man that's going to get us out of it, it's Antonio Conte. And it's lovely to hear Jamie's views on it because he interviewed the fellow like 4 or 5 days ago, which is incredible.
Yeah, again, it's just isn't it? You know, the situation where coming over to you, Chris, to kind of close it on Conte, where on the Tuesday presser that Jamie was at, he's telling us this is the best group of players that he's worked with personally, and then on the Thursday, it's almost like he's wondering if himself whether he's good enough to do the job. It's almost like the mood swings. I mean, as a fan and a fan that goes home and away, how are you coping with that? Can we as a fan base deal with this every week? The concern that he may stay, may go, or do we just accept that? Such as the inconsistent nature of Tottenham, he's emotional. And I think he's emotional because he cares, right?
Very, very. It's funny because even in the Leeds game yesterday, when we were 1-0 up, 2-0 up, 3-0 up, even 4-0 up, he's still shouting and barking instructions at the team, demanding absolutely everything from the team. But he is very emotional. But I just think that he needs to probably not be so honest in some of these press conferences to worry all of us fans, because, of course, he's come in to do the job to try and get us success. And I believe that if Antonio Conte is backed in the right way, he will be very successful. How can us as a club go from Pochettino to Jose Mourinho to Antonio Conte? Where on earth would we go next? And I don't even want to have that conversation about Antonio Conte leaving. I really, really don't, because, this guy, if he's given the tools, he will get us success. There's absolutely no question about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I really, really do. And again, it's the nature of the manager we talk about. I think that our mood is dependent on obviously how he's feeling, and this is the whole thing. I mean, after the game, he said we've played a really good game, really good performance. What I wanted to see is the right spirit, the right will, the right desire. I wanted answers, not only the footballing aspects, but there are many coaches who want to enjoy themselves in England. I want to enjoy the football, but also the possibilities to fight with my players. Sometimes I use soft words, sometimes with strong words, but only with one target: to improve. We need to improve in many aspects. Today, I've seen a great desire to fight in every zone. This has to be a starting point for us, not one episode. And I think, again, this is the key here, that we have to use this now as a springboard, because, Chris, as you know, Borough on Tuesday, I mean, for a man that, is the trophy that we want to come, that's a huge game for the football club, isn't it? Borough to come. And then again, Premier League-wise, still unbelievably, when you look at where Spurs are placed in the Premier League, if they can go on a run, top four still not out of the question, Chris, bizarrely.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a real opportunity for us, but we do need to be consistent. And Antonio Conte keeps using that word now, consistency. But imagine being in that dressing room, being a player after that Burnley game. If Antonio Conte was as honest with the press as he was that night, imagine what he was saying to the players. I'd love to have been in that room to find out what he was saying. But the players, interestingly, yesterday, they all took to Twitter and Instagram, and they all used the word reaction. And, they must have known, they must have had it drilled into them about, give us a reaction, show us what you can do. And as we've all said, so far on this stream, that, every single player delivered.
Yeah,
they did indeed, most certainly. Well, that is where we're going to go next. We are going to discuss the story of the game. So for our listeners on audio, we are going to go for our first break of the show, where you're going to hear from Antonio Conte, and you're going to hear also from Harry Kane for Spurs, I say, going into a Leeds game where there was a little bit of pressure, but end up in a 4-0 victory. For our watching audience on YouTube, there's nearly 700 of you plus watching us live, so thank you ever so much for all your incredible support. Now, you will be aware that in the last few weeks, we have partnered with NordVPN, and we're delighted to announce that obviously they are sponsoring us over the course of hopefully the next few months. Now, Nord is a secure, fast, and incredibly to use VPN with over 5,200 servers across 59 countries around the world. NordVPN automatically selects the best server based on location, loads, or your specific needs. You have a great opportunity, I think, with this certain app to save on the likes of YouTube Premium, which I'm pleased to say I have done since I've taken up this application. And like I say, you can do that by, of course, using this code here, LWOS, to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus 1 month free and a bonus gift. It is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You may be asking, how do you do that with Nord? You can change your location settings. There's the likes of India, Argentina, that works out slightly cheaper. If you prefer to save a few pennies, that you can, like I say, take out YouTube Premium for much, much cheaper. They are the most widely used VPN in the world. It's a polished app that delivers fast connections to a massive network of VPN servers. And it also gives you the opportunity to get US Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, BBC iPlayer, HBO Max, and Amazon Prime too, in a number of locations. Like I say, grab NordVPN's exclusive deal by going to www.nordvpn.com and using that code LWOS. Right. It is time to get into the story of the game. Listen, let's go to you, Lee. I mean, listen, number of changes made to that starting lineup for Spurs. I think 4 in total. We saw obviously a change, obviously in terms of the wing backs, and then again in midfield. I'll read that team out in a second. But overall, Lee, was you surprised by the team shuffle there from Conte?
No, I can't remember their name, so forgive me. But somebody said earlier about Doherty. Tally won't be happy about this, but they said he's looking healthier. And I thought that was quite interesting because I actually thought that as well. And so, he looks a bit stronger, a bit, I don't know, maybe fitter or something. So for him to start was quite interesting. And obviously Cess, because Reguilon coming back, I mean, I suppose after that performance in Burnley, you would have thought actually maybe he'd change it up. But he obviously sees something in Cess. Cess is getting some confidence. That's good. I think the back three picks itself. There's no doubt about it. Left side, Ben Davies. And, whether or not people like Ben or not, I know that you like a bit of 6 out of 10 Ben. Maybe we're calling Ben 10. Who knows? Ben 10, who knows what's going on? Because that was a fantastic bit of defending the other day. But, I think the back three picks itself. And then you can't drop any of the front three at the moment. But on the basis of Decky's been fantastic. Son and Kane speak for themselves. So it's just really the middle of the park, and his hand was forced, wasn't it? Bentancur got injured, so he had to bring in Winksy. Skip hasn't played for a while. That's been a big loss for us as well.
Massive loss, absolutely massive loss.
It's been a huge loss. And Højbjerg comes back in, which, by the way, I thought he was absolutely amazing the other day against City, and I thought he played really well again. Against Leeds United as well. So no, I wasn't. Look, I don't think we can be that surprised with the teams being picked because that's the players that we've got. I think Decky definitely deserves to start. Don't you think, lads, listeners, and viewers, that he should be starting over Lucas? Do you know what I mean? I've just got a quick stat as well before you go into talking about the team. Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty now has scored the same amount of goals in a Spurs shirt as Giovanni Lo Celso did in the Premier League. You couldn't make that. It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Mental.
So, when people talk about, and I'm sure we're getting to individual players, but when people talk about Højbjerg, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and I don't understand why he's got so much stuff, stuff written about him or said about him and stuff. Like, he is a warrior. Somebody used that word earlier in the comments, and Conte's used that word. I think he's a perfect player for Conte. Based on what Conte wants to see, the desire, the determination, the resilience. Maybe that he doesn't complete 99% of his passes. Maybe they're only 88%.
I think people want him to be more than what he actually is. They want to change his game, and I think we've said this a number of times. Crackers has been on here and said he's the dustman of the team.
100%. But what I'll quickly say, Rick, on that, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is this year in the Premier League. He's only scored 2 goals and only assisted 2 in the Premier League. He's assisted more than that outside the Premier League. But what absolute brilliant assists that he's actually given. And his job isn't to do that. His job is not to create. His job is to sit and pick up the rubbish, like Cracker says. He's the dustman, right? So I just think that, I think now we've got a much, much better balance in that midfield 4 than we would have with a. And I'm highlighting Gio. I picked on Gio. I could have picked on Tunga and Dembele as well, and Dele Alli. The reality of the situation is an attacking, forward-thinking player like Lo Celso has got the same amount of goals in a Spurs shirt and 55 appearances than Matt Doherty.
Yeah, crazy. Let's come over to you, Jamie. Spurs ahead of this game. We saw the case that obviously still Skippy and Tanganga yet to return from their respective groin and knee injuries. As we know, Lucas Moura picked up a late knock in training on the Friday, which meant he didn't travel with the squad. Harry Winks came into that midfield alongside Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. At right back, as Lee mentioned, in came Matt Doherty, with Emerson Royal dropping back to the bench. Ryan Sessegnon in at left wing back with Sergio Reguilon remaining on the bench. You maybe feel that he's not quite got over COVID just yet. Obviously, in Lucas's absence, we saw Alfie Devine being named amongst the subs, alongside Harvey White and Dane Scarlett representing the academy on the bench as well as Brandon Austin. Pierluigi Golini remained out for illness. So that team read, Jamie, Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davies, Doherty, Højbjerg, Winks, Sessegnon, Kulusevski, Kane and Son, with a bench of Austin, Emerson, Reguilon, Rodon, Sanchez, White, Devine, Bergwijn, Scarlett. Is that what you're roughly expecting, Jamie, ahead of the game, or was you surprised by the lineup that Conte picked there?
No, I would go along with what Lee said as well. It is the side that I was expected to see. Yep, you're right. His hand was forced with Bentancur's injury that Winks had to start, but I was delighted that for that first goal, it was a Winks pass to Sessegnon, great ball from Sess across the face of goal, and a wonderful finish from Matt Doherty as well. 3 players that get absolute dog's abuse on Spurs Twitter. Winks, Sessegnon and Doherty. So I was delighted for all 3 of them that they linked up for that opening goal. And I think Matt Doherty, to add to Lee's point about him looking healthy, what a lot of people didn't take into account, perhaps, Matt Doherty, he has suffered with long COVID, and I think he's taken a bit of a while to get over that. And, you know, I've been desperate for him to work out for Matt Doherty. Do I think he'll be the starting right wing back this time next season? No. But do I think from now going forward that he can really grab that shirt by the scruff of the neck and make it his for the rest of the season? Yes. And I thought his second-half performance against Leicester, I thought he was outstanding. And I thought that performance yesterday against Leeds, he was brilliant from start to finish as well. And it's confidence with him as well. So I think just getting more confidence into Matt Doherty, I think he can be the answer right wing back for the remainder of the season. Is it a position I want to see us improve in the summer? Yes, it is. The 3 at the back, outstanding. I am unofficial, self-appointed, leader of the Ben Davies fan club. I love him. I think
we've found the one then, have we?
Yeah,
well, I just think that he just
joke.
gets absolute pelters from Spurs fans. And it's like he's what you wanted it. He's what you wanted it in any what any manager wants is a player who just absolutely gives his all, who comes into training every day and just listens to everything you have to say, who just wants to improve. Yeah, I love Ben Davies. Anyway, going off on a tangent. So he was great. Romero, the Rolls Royce, fantastic as always. Eric Dyer, the calm presence in the middle of those back 3. And I thought that Højbjerg and Winksy both had great games. That assist from Højbjerg for Kane, was just ridiculous. And the finish was ridiculous as well. And what can you say about the front 3? As I said earlier on, I just have to laugh sometimes at Harry Kane's performances because they're just from another planet. I didn't think he could. Well, I was going to say I didn't think he could top his performance against City. He didn't top his performance against City because that was an 11 out of 10, but that was another 10 out of 10 yesterday. He's just got it all. When have you ever? I was texting somebody after the game saying, not only is the best striker on the planet, and I will argue to the death with anybody who wants to tell me that Robert Lewandowski is better than Harry Kane, that Harry Kane is a better striker than Lewandowski. Not only is he the best striker and the best finisher on the planet, but I've never seen anybody with that range of passing as well. And I was talking with somebody after the game saying, can you think of anybody in Premier League history who's got that ability to pass a ball? We were supposed to say Kevin De Bruyne or maybe Paul Scholes, but he's got the ball in a string. And, anybody who earlier on this season was questioning whether Harry Kane wanted to be at Tottenham, I think that's long been put to bed, that argument now. Kulusevski, talk about somebody just absolutely taking to the Premier League like a duck to water and looking like an absolute star already. Just brilliant. So what more can you say? And I think the subs who came on, made an impact as well. The only thing I wanted, I tweeted it during the game, was I said, come on, let's get 4-0 up and let's see a bit of Alfie Devine towards the end, because I'd have loved to have seen Alfie Devine get a few minutes under his belt. As it was, we got to see a bit of Dane Scarlett. So that was nice to see anyway. But as we've all said since the start of the show, from 1 to 11, it was just a complete performance. And I think everybody can hold their head up high after yesterday.
Yeah, we spoke, Chris, before about, reaction. And I think Spurs got, the perfect reaction, the perfect start, really. And it was the wing-backs, as we've always wanted, in full cry. Sessegnon gets onto a great Harry Winks ball, to be fair to him. He played that perfect low cross into Matt Doherty to smash Spurs in front really, really early on. Just a really, really impressive first goal. And I know Conte referred to the fact that finally he feels that the work he's doing on the training ground is now coming off. I know it's only Leeds, but you've still got to score the goals and create the chances. What a perfect start to that game for us, Chris, and what a goal.
I know some fans who have said that it's only Leeds. You've still got to beat these teams, and let's be honest. Leeds did have a number of chances in that game, but they were very wasteful. Although we scored 4 goals and we won the game 4-0, they still had a lot of chances. But it was an overall very good performance. And as Jamie said there, echo exactly his words there about the fans getting slated on Twitter, Harry Winks and Ben Davies and Matt Doherty. So I was absolutely delighted to see Matt Doherty score his first Tottenham Hotspur goal. Finished it very, very well. A wonderful ball from Winks. Wonderful cross as well. And it's so nice to see Sessegnon in the team because, of course, we paid an awful lot of money for him. We haven't seen a lot of him in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. So it's nice to see him doing very, very well. Romero, as Jamie said earlier on the show as well, what a fantastic signing Christian Romero has been. Just hopefully he can't and won't pick up a number of yellow cards and just calms that down a little bit. But Eric Dyer and Ben Davies, as I said earlier about Ben Davies, and when you say about guys slagging off Ben Davies, Ricky, you're one of them. So your words on Ben Davies. He's done extremely well under Conte so far. He's been transformed. Harry Winks and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, both of them have had to stick this season and before as well, and I thought they'd done extremely well. And as I said, Kulusevski has fitted into this team extremely well, and Harry Kane is just like the cross between Jimmy Greaves scoring goals and Glenn Hoddle creating the goals. He's just absolutely fantastic. What a game he had again in the Tottenham Hotspur shirt. And for him and Heung-min Son to now be on top of the leaderboard for goal combinations in Premier League history, they are simply the best.
I'm dreading coming to the individual thoughts on Ben Davies. Now I've got his bodyguards here.
We're going to go individual on the play. Like, can we go?
Well, I might ignore Ben after this. I'm dreading.
Sorry, can I just clarify? If I'm president of the Ben Davies fan club, can I count on Lee and Chris being, secretary and treasurer or something? Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think he's done brilliantly well. To be fair, considering where he was. People would just get him out of our football club, etc., certainly on Spurs Twitter anyway. But ultimately, to what he's been doing, he is very, very solid. What I would say, for me, the Leeds game is a perfect example of Ben Davies and a lot of the players, which is why we still need to get them improved or to upgrade. Yeah. And that was on Ben Davies. Unbelievable running 60, 70 yards or whatever it was to get back to block Stuart Dallas. I thought it was amazing. And then what he does, he loses concentration, loses the ball, in the 94th minute, and gives away that free kick that Rafinha hit the post against. That for me was a classic example of, if we can just cut away them, maybe it was a tired mind again, because it was like 93rd, 94th minute or whatever it was. But, again, if that game was, look, and it wasn't. It was 4-0, so it doesn't matter. But if that game was 1-0 against Manchester United away, and he does that, and Ronaldo sticks that in the net, that's the stuff that's hurting us. And I think that's maybe where the frustration is with some of the fans, certainly maybe the coaching staff and Conte, is that you've got to get their mistakes out of the game. I mean, again, just going back to Burnley again, giving away a free kick. I think it was Sess. I might be wrong here, but, there was a lot of rain that day. Giving away a free kick in that area, and then conceding a set piece again.
I think it was you spent the opening minutes, Lee. I think it was Dijon in the opening. It was Decky in the opening minute or so.
When we lost, Burnley,
yeah.
Is it in that area where under Jose Mourinho, I think the West Ham game, we gave away 3 or 4 free kicks in that when we're 3-0 up and we drew 3-3. It was them classic scenarios, and that's the bit we've got. If we can get rid of that. Wow, I think we could have an amazing season. Do you know what I mean? Even with the players that we've got. But that for me was a classic example on Ben Davies. So I do like Ben. I think he's a quite good player for us. But it's them times of relapses. And it's the same with Romero, to be honest. It's the same with Dyer. You can pick holes in absolutely everybody. So I'm not going to obviously do that. But Romero doesn't get away from it for me. I said this on the group in the week. That was his fault. He got completely caught under the ball. He should be dealing with that cross, a long cross coming into the box. Yeah. He should be dealing with that. And just because he's a brilliant defender, and he is, he should still be getting a criticism of that. He also lost his man. I think he gave the penalty away, obviously, against City. He lost his man in the box against Burnley. And I also, early on, made another mistake in the Leeds game. He's thinking, if these are getting punished, he's going to start being shown up. He is a quality defender, don't get me wrong. But it's these little mistakes that,
But Lee, how many players make no mistakes at all?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly.
Even Virgil van Dijk makes mistakes,
Yeah, that's fair. It's a fair point.
Yeah. I'd also say on Romero that again he's adjusting to a new league. I think when you count the amount of games he's had so far, I still think we're talking on 2 hands how many games Romero's had so far. I think Burnley, for anybody to go to as a first occasion for him. Difficult, number one difficult game. I know people laugh when I say about the rain, and I was getting criticised that during the week. It's not the most easiest conditions to play in. You missed this, Chris. the conditions, and as you know, because you were there, as a player.
Think of the fans going up the motorway. That's difficult conditions.
Yeah,
No, listen.
but you know what? I said early on that there's such thing as a good and bad time to play teams as well.
Yeah.
I firmly believe if we'd played Burnley at the start of December in the snowed off game,
that game,
we'd have won that game.
Yeah.
So we just happened to get them at a point when they're in a little run of form at the moment.
Yeah, must have been Burnley that day. Talk about conditions. They had 7 or 8, players that are potentially out of that game. So again, where it fell, difficult.
But Burnley didn't batter us. Like this is the thing. You've got to put it into context, like you say. Like it was fine margins.
Yeah.
It was a set piece. I mean, if that doesn't, I know if buts and maybes, but if that set piece doesn't happen, they don't score. They didn't look like scoring. It's not as if they would wave after. Like
we came back into the game.
They played Liverpool off the park, a week before. They didn't do that to Tottenham. They didn't. But we didn't do that to them either. And I think that was that's been the part of the issue. I think the other key thing about the again, it's 3 games in a week away from home, and it shows all sides of Tottenham. The brilliance at City, the frustration and lack of effort or desire, if you like, against Burnley, and then that ability to go and blow a team away, but actually still give away some chances. I mean, Leeds could have hit a post twice. Do you know what I mean? Like, not being funny. Stuart Dallas had one like open goal. Like they could have. There was chances for them to score at moments. I mean, we're 2-0 up, and they hit the post. If that goes in, that is a very different game at Ellen Road. Obviously, it didn't. But there's still, again, it's still a work in progress. So I'm not getting carried away to 4-0, but I'm bloody enjoying it because it was fantastic, and we could have scored 8.
Yeah, no, I agree. To reassure our viewers, Jamie has got one eye on the golf. We're getting lots of comments in. Jamie has got one eye on it. Don't worry, that's why you keep seeing him switch to the right. So he has got it covered. Don't worry. There you go.
But I'm still concentrating. I'm still concentrating on everything all 3 of you have to say. Believe me.
No problem at all. That's what you call multitasking. Who says males can't do this, eh?
Exactly.
Right, let's come over to Chris. Chris, for your pure, what should I say the word? At me at Ben Davies. You're going to get the Mac Doherty review now. So, he scored his first goal for Spurs. Probably a long time in coming. It was a really good clinical and powerful finish, to be fair, from him. Moments that he combined with Kulusevski for Spurs' second goal of the game. He almost actually set up Sessegnon as well to score. So it was a really good day for the Irishman, to be fair, and what's been a really difficult last 18 months for him as well at Spurs. I mean, and again, this is the first time he's, I think, scored and assisted in a single Premier League game, which is, again, quite remarkable. What did you make of his overall performance, Chris? Can he now go for a run in the team?
No, it was a decent performance. We've all expected a lot more from Matt Doherty in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. Hasn't really delivered. Played well in the second half at Leicester. Of course, we won that one 3-2. Played very well yesterday. Really nice to see him on the score sheet. As I say, it's his first goal in a Spurs shirt, and to assist Kulo as well for the second goal. Really, really decent performance. He should be knocking on Antonio Conte's door to get more game time, because he's had very limited game time under a few managers now at Spurs. Emerson Royale hasn't really delivered since the start of the season, since signing. So, yeah, I expect him to probably be playing in a lot more games.
Jamie, let's come over to you. I think just on Ryan Sessegnon, and again, a big day for him. I think, Conte seems to put a lot of trust in this guy, a lot of trust. He seems to like what he sees in him. I said on the previous show up at Burnley that I just feel at the moment the weight of that Spurs shirt, and you can question just how weighty that is with regards to where Spurs are at the moment. But I feel that, he's got to really now take this opportunity between now and the end of the season to prove that he's capable of playing for a club like Spurs that obviously, hopefully under Conte, do have big ambitions. And again, I think the game at the weekend suited him really well, the open nature of it. But I think what I really enjoyed with Sessegnon is that it started already with a real instant impact, that going to the byline, not being afraid, not being hesitant to get forward. What do you think the future holds for Ryan Sessegnon, Jamie, for you?
Well, again, in that press conference last Tuesday that I keep referencing, Antonio Conte was asked about Ryan Sessegnon, and his answer was extraordinary. He just said, here's a young guy. I think he's got so much ability. His future's really bright. He should be, he'll be playing for England, etc., etc. But the one thing he said is he needs to believe in his own ability. In other words, his confidence is rock bottom at the moment. And as soon as he believes he's as good as he is, then we'll suddenly start to see the real Ryan Sessegnon. And it's been such a stop-start Spurs career for him so far. You got to remember, he's still so young as well. And I thought he was fantastic yesterday. I thought he was pretty good against City as well. The Liverpool game before Christmas, I thought he was sensational that game. He's got so much ability. He just needs to believe in himself. And Antonio Conte is a big fan of his, and we all know how important wing backs are in any Antonio Conte system as well. So if you can get Sessegnon and Sergio Reguilon properly going at each other and vying for that left wing back slot and just pushing each other higher and higher, then that could be very exciting. It's on the other side of the pitch where, maybe we need to address that in the transfer market. But, is he still only 21, Sess? Is that right? I mean, that's bonkers, isn't it? Because it feels like he's been around forever. He was signed 2.5 years ago as a teenager, and, it didn't work out for him so much. And he had last season on loan in Germany. But, as soon as he sort of builds up his confidence and starts believing in himself, I think we've got a real good player there. I was delighted from yesterday. I thought he was brilliant. And that ball across the face of the box for Doherty was fantastic. And then he could have scored one himself a little bit later on in the game when he collided with the post instead. So, lots of reasons to be optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play devil's advocate. I mean, I think for me, Lee, that I had massive hopes for Sessegnon. I thought he would have the ability, in time, to really displace Reguilon as a first-team slot. And now, I'll be honest with you, I think over the course of the last month, I still need a lot more convincing now. I genuinely believe that he would be able to do that, but I just feel at the moment that such is the nature.
And the weekend, though, Rick. Like that's probably one of his best.
No, it was. It was one of his best performances. But again, I also do take into account the opposition we're playing, the amount of goals that Leeds have leaked. And again, I'll go back to what Chris's point earlier. He said, Chris, you can only beat what's in front of you. But at the same time, for me now, I need to see Sessegnon do this, on a more consistent basis. The only thing I would say, which did really impress me with Sessegnon, is that in the second half, he was somewhat handicapped by a yellow card, and he had to really watch himself. And I think, to be fair, taking that into account, I thought it was a really, really good display from him where could have scored himself. But on the whole, I thought it was a good display. What do you think, Lee, the future holds long term for Sessegnon?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like you, to be honest. I think you and I have spoken before fair about, I don't know why, I've just got a feeling that he could be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But how many times do we say that and then he picks up a knock, or then he gets talked up by the manager, and then he gets a red card against Muro, and then he's out for a couple of games, and then he picks up another knock. And it's them sorts of things. Look, I think it's harsh to judge it. When you look at how long he's been at Tottenham, it's not harsh, right? He's been there for 3 years, right? He got signed in 2019 for 30 million quid. We need delivery on that 30 million, right? We were absolutely battering Sissoko when we signed him for like 2 seasons, when we signed him for 30 million, for example. Some still did, even though he was our player of the year one season. But I think with Sess, he just needs a run of games. I agree with what Jamie's saying in the sense of Reguilon and Sess feel like there's more competition down that side than there is on the other side, if that makes sense, on the right side. I think if we had a choice to upgrade our left wing backs and our right wing backs, we'd probably all say, yeah, let's upgrade both of them. But if you only had a choice of upgrading one side, you'd probably upgrade the right wing back and let Reggie and Sess fight it out. And again, you got to remember, I know people are sick of hearing it, but you got to remember, he's young still. Like, as Jamie said, he's 21. Like, that is, he's done nothing yet. He's done nothing. If you peak at 21, where else is there for you to go? So he has got a long way before he peaks, and that can only be good news for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, let's come over, Chris, to you again. Superb goal for Spurs' his second. Dejan Kulusevski, you mentioned, Chris, for you that he's fitted in so well. He's been in for years, to be honest with you. Yeah. Linked up really well with Doherty, and he cut in from the left, smashed it past Meisler in the goal. I mean, the move itself, like you said, started from the corner flag. The twisting and turning the goal itself, regardless of the opposition. I mean, that's a wonderful finish for a guy that's only been here 5 minutes. How impressed have you been by him, Chris?
Very, very, very impressive. It's lovely to see a player come in, assisting, goal scoring straight away. Ever since he's moved from Juventus, I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to this Tottenham Hotspur team and this squad. I think that Antonio Conte seems to be very impressed with him as well, saying that he could be a world star. But can I just go back to the point about Sessegnon and Doherty?
Please do.
The fact that when they've been given opportunities, they haven't really taken them. You go back to some of the cup games, in particular, the Europa Conference League. So that is what was so pleasing about the first goal, where they combined. And of course, as Jamie mentioned, the wing backs to an Antonio Conte side is extremely important, and he expects so much from the wing backs. So seeing them taking their opportunities, and every single player on the pitch yesterday playing out their skin. But going back to Kulusevski, it was like he sold the goalkeeper the far post and then took it inside and beat him at the near post. A very, very good finish. And I can't wait to see more of him, because I think that, the combination with him, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, I think he's very exciting. But Kulusevski seems to be very, very versatile, seems to be, could fit in anywhere. I think if Conte said play at left wing back, play at right wing back, play it in the centre, play up front, I think that he is very versatile. I think he can play anywhere across the pitch. So, yeah, very excited about seeing more of him.
Yeah, I mean, coming over to you, Jamie, just 21 years old. And as like Chris said there, I think Conte said he can also play as a wing back. I mean, how important is that to have a player there, as Chris says, that can play numerous positions and has seemingly already shown that he can fit into the Premier League very, very quickly?
Yeah, he doesn't look 21, does he? I mean, he looks older than his years. I don't know if it's a tough paper run growing up in Sweden, but he doesn't look like a 21-year-old. And he's stocky. He's hard to stop. He's hard to get off the ball. I mean, that first goal for him yesterday, or his first goal, was all about just desire, just wanting to get in the box, wanting to get a shot away. And he almost scored a carbon copy in the second half as well. It took a really strong left hand from Meslier to stop him scoring again, when tried to selling it to the far post, but then cutting it to the near post. So he's got an absolute great left foot on him. I tweeted yesterday, he comes from a long line like Lamela and Lo Celso of Spurs players. They've got no right foot at all, but that's fine. If his left foot is good as it is, then that's fine. Let's see more of that. But I thought even on Wednesday night in the game that we've mentioned far too much already against Burnley, but when he was shifted to right wing back, he looked really good at right wing back as well, and he was up in attack with Sonny and Kane a couple of times in the final 20 minutes of that match as well. So look, he's just hit the ground running, and that's what we want to see from signings. And too often we've signed players who, you know what, he's got all the ability, but is he quite right for the Premier League? And it turns out that he isn't. Well, we've signed a player here who a lot of fans, on deadline day were like, oh, what? We've signed two Juventus rejects, two players who couldn't get into the Juventus team. Well, they're two players who are absolutely tailor-made for Premier League football, it turns out, and they've both settled in seamlessly. So I think we should be very excited about the future of Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur as well.
Yeah, before we come over to Lee, like I say, a couple of questions came in on that, or statements. Matt Martin says, have Juventus got any more rejects for us? Because Bentancur and Kulu are setting in incredibly well. And Michael Green says the same thing. How many more Juve rejects can we take? It's so impressive that both Bentancur and Kulusevski have made an incredible immediate impact on the club.
I was going to say on that point, I saw a tweet last week. It might have been from Jack Pittbrook. I think, didn't Villarreal play Juventus in the Champions League last week? And he sort of tweeted something along the lines of, it's like Spurs players past versus Spurs players of the future, because Etienne Capoue, Juan Foyt and Giovanni Lo Celso were all playing for Villarreal. And then the Juventus side, well, 5 or 6 of those could be Spurs players next season. So I thought that was a funny tweet I saw last week. But look, if we can keep picking up players that Juventus don't want, and they're as good as Bentancur and Kulusevski, then bring it on.
Absolutely. Lee, for Decky, is that his first team place to lose now? Is he made that impressive start where he is now one of the first names on the team sheet?
Yeah, I think so. I think, we all, Lucas Moura, his passion, his ability in certain situations, what he done in Ajax, will never be forgotten. And, he plays a really vital role in the squad, in the, not necessarily just in the first team. But Decky's he's made 5 appearances. He's scored 2 goals. He's got an assist. And it's also about his ability, like Jamie just said as well, like that left wing back, right wing back situation, the ability to be able to drop in, playing as a number 10 if he wants to, or go right out wide. I mean, that goal that he scored, I know that some of the commentators sort of said, the defenders have got to do better, but I thought it was very clever. He let the defender have to make the decision rather than him trying to take it around him. He just let the ball flow, and it almost nutmegged the defender. And then as Adrian just said in the comments, he disguises his shot to kind of wrong foot the keeper. I thought it was brilliant. And and again, strong. And again, coming back to Conte's comments that we keep coming back to this week, he wants warriors, he wants strong, he wants people that are ready. He's building something in his mind. His vision that he talks about is about having a team that are really difficult to beat, really strong, really ready to win. He uses that phrase a lot, doesn't he, Jamie? And the guys, listeners, and viewers. He uses that. We're not ready to win, or we need to get to be ready to win. And I think looking at Decky, he is ready. I think he's got the mentality. And again, he's only 21. And I think I said this on the last show I was on. Actually, he's like a 30-year-old in a 21-year-old's body, isn't he? He's got the, like you just said, Jamie, before, he don't look 21. He just looks way beyond his years, and he's playing like he's way beyond his years. And, long may that continue, to be fair.
Absolutely. Now it is time to discuss the third goal of the game, which I know for, again, some people, mind-blowing goal. Chris, to come over to you. After 27 minutes, someone thought Spurs would be 3 up. The reaction really, said it all, because I think all of us were thinking, this is an opportunity now to show really, are these players ready to fight for Conte? Apparently said beforehand, I want to see a reaction, and we got one. It was, I must say, firstly for Højbjerg, unbelievable pass. Earlier I said that, the player may be limited to what he can do, but then you see the ability that he's got there. Maybe we should give a player some benefit, that he's trying to improve in an area which maybe does need to be strengthening, because it was an absolutely beautiful chip ball over the top for Harry Kane, who then sent a real expert low volley from a tight angle across Mesler inside the right-hand post. Chris, how good was that finish from Harry Kane? Unbelievable, wasn't it? Unbelievable
finish. But as you said, an unbelievable ball from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and he has been slated so often this season about lack of creativity. And when you see someone who is a defensive midfielder, and like you said, and like Crackers says all the time, is like the dustman who clears everything up, to put a ball over for Harry Kane, and the way that Harry Kane just watched that ball continuously and then just finished with his left foot, an incredible pass, an incredible finish. I don't know what more we can all say about Harry Kane that hasn't been said already. He is just an incredible player. His passing ability, everything he done on that pitch yesterday, just simply incredible. But his finishing, is just second to none. Unbelievable pass by Højbjerg as well.
Yeah, no, we will, to touch on Højbjerg in more detail. But Jamie, to come to you, you mentioned about Harry Kane earlier. The game itself, what a goal. And obviously, of course, the assist for Son as well. But he feels like now, Jamie, he's becoming Harry Kane. Tottenham's almost Eriksen kind of player. It's just, when you look at what Eriksen did for the club and the contribution that he gave, Kane, although many people do find it incredibly frustrating just how deep he does drop, but when you can play that, array of passing and what a guy's a player, and then finish the way he finishes, he's remarkable, isn't he, Harry Kane?
I can't put it any better than how Chris put it earlier on, which is like he's a combination of Jimmy Greaves and Glenn Hull. The finishing ability of an out-and-out number 9, arguably the best striker on the planet. And then the ability to just play this array of passes, as you said, a la Christian Eriksen when he was in his prime. Who, by the way, just as a side note, how amazing to see Christian Eriksen back on the pitch yesterday. And I think every Spurs fan, had a slight sort of tear in their eye when we saw that. Great to see him back. And I hope Brentford stay up. Harry Kane, he's like a 9.5 at the moment, isn't he? He gives you what a 9, gives you what a 10 can give you as well. And I know for a lot of Spurs fans, there's this big frustration since Eriksen left that, we don't have a playmaker in the team, and sometimes we lack creativity. We've got no one that can pick out a pass. Well, we've got Harry Kane who can pick out a pass, and I'm not sure Antonio Conte teams tend to have like a playmaker, like a Christian Eriksen, Kevin De Bruyne sort of player, who is a little bit of a luxury. Maybe he likes workers. He likes people like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who's always going to just graft for you for 90 minutes and leave everything out there in the pitch. So if you can have somebody with Harry Kane's passing ability and creativity, dropping deep occasionally, you don't want him doing it all the time, but if you can have him dropping deep occasionally, and people like Dejan Kulusevski or Heung-min Son or Steven Bergwijn or whoever it might be, making the runs that he can then pick out, then that is what a hell of a weapon to have, that is, because he's like having 2 players on the pitch at the moment, Harry Kane, and you run out of superlatives for him. As I've said on a couple of occasions now, that pass to Sonny at the end, I just started laughing out loud because I was like, that is just ridiculous. How can you play a pass like that in the 90th or the 87th minute, whatever it was of the game? just dropping deep, just being a cut. He's unbelievable. He's incredible, and we should enjoy every second we're getting of Harry and Sonny together because wow. Well,
they're incredible.
How lucky are we to enjoy them together?
Yeah, I think the biggest praise I can pay to Harry Kane is I wish Harry Kane was on the end of Harry Kane's balls, because how many goals would Harry Kane get if he was on the end of his own balls? Unbelievable. I mean, Lee,
he's on the end of his own balls. Rick, talk to me. Where's the show going, fella?
Lee, come out of you. Harry Kane. How can I take it easy after that? What is quite unique
what's on the end of Harry Kane's ball?
He would still be delivering, you know what though? Generally, I think he is. I mean, as he said, he's now the fittest that he's ever been. I think even the Poch years where we spoke about generally how fit he is. That's even worse about even the word fitness now. But I mean, quite honestly. You saw the goal against City in the 90 whatever it was minute. To do that, you've got to keep on going and keep on trying and keep fighting. Is Kane probably the fittest you've seen him physically at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. We had, obviously the star man, the gold standard Ali Gold on a couple of weeks back, and he talked about when he interviewed Conte, and he nearly mentioned physical. He's working on his physicality, and then he stopped and he kind of changed it a little bit. But he's definitely improved his fitness, which is quite incredible, really. And if you think about where he was, oh my word, these comments are brilliant. For all our audio listeners, everybody's now commenting on Harry Kane's getting on his own balls. He scored 18 goals now this season. What's he got in the Premier League now? I think he's got 8 goals in the Premier League, is he? 3 assists in 24 appearances. So that's 1 in 3. And you consider what we didn't really see Harry Kane properly until when? This year, maybe. This calendar year. Maybe just before Christmas. Incredible. He's definitely... Antonio Conte, under Nuno, let's have it right. He was gone. He was gone in his head. He'd gone to Man City.
I think we all were, to be fair with him. Yeah.
He just, he wasn't. He didn't want to. He didn't feel that the club was in the position to do anything. And look, we still might not be, but we've now got genuine top 5 managers in the world, as we said earlier. And I think he's absolutely relishing it and he's loving it. 18 goals this season, and I made these silly predictions. I look foolish, certainly after the Southampton and Wolverhampton games. I didn't see any of them coming, to be fair. But I felt that Kane has the ability to score in every single game that he plays. And I don't think I could say that at the beginning of the season, or certainly August, September, October time. But now I expect Kane, and I think that's. I don't want to put it on Kane. I'm not having a go at you, bud. I absolutely love you to pieces. But that's where, in games against the likes of Burnley, somebody like our best player, Kane, has to pull something out of the bag. Has to stick in a 35-yarder or something, like a Ronaldo would do, or a Messi would do something. And, it's all very well when you've got all the space in the world, against Leeds. And I'm not saying he didn't do it. He did it against City as well. He's absolute world class, number 9, number 10 for me, but in both positions. Like, I just love the bloke. But there has been that thing levelled at Kane in the past about finals. Does he turn up in finals? Does he turn up in the games that we need him most? And sometimes it's not a big game that you need him to turn up in. Sometimes you need him to turn up in Burnley, right? The other day, and just ping one. But he's done it time and time again for us in previous seasons gone by. So I just think that there's nothing else to say. I know I'm trying to waffle on about it. I can't say anything else. He's unbelievable. I'll tell you what he is. He is, and I've said this before, he's a Roy of the Rovers, right? And for me, I'll just go on a rant for it quickly, right? For me, Harry has to stay at Tottenham, and he has to turn around and put his marker down and say, I'm going to be a one-club man, and I'm going to make us win something. I'm going to be the one that leads us to win something. I'm going to be the one that helps Conte and the rest of the team change it. That's what, for me, would be Mr. Tottenham, that Roy of the Rovers. That's the bit that Harry needs to get to. There's nothing else really to say. He's just amazing. I love him.
Also, on Kane, he's directly now involved in 8 in his last 9 goals in all competitions, 7 goals, 1 assist. And we almost sort of repeated the first goal, but switched around as Kane's excellent ball set Doherty away, but Sessegnon couldn't quite reach it at the back post. And then further on, we saw a yellow card for Antonio Conte after he complained about a challenge on Romero. I mean, Chris, you said earlier about Conte on that touchline, even still 3-4-0 up, he was still pacing. You've got to love his emotion, haven't you? You've got to love his commitment to the team, even when we're, like battering aside, still fighting, still hammering the players, Antonio Conte.
I love it. I absolutely adore our manager. I really do. And I'll be completely honest, every single game I go to, I probably watch Spurs on the pitch for 45 minutes and I watch Antonio Conte in the dugout for 45 minutes. He's so entertaining. You've seen on the official Tottenham Hotspur YouTube channel, the views that these Conte can get, because people absolutely love watching him. And, the passion that the guy has is just simply incredible. I'll ask you a question, all three of you. Have you ever seen a more passionate Tottenham Hotspur manager? Probably not. No. It's just, he's incredible. So I absolutely love him. And, he wants to be there. He wants to be involved in every kick on the pitch. And, I absolutely love watching it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Jamie, coming over to you. Massive escape for Hugo Lloris. I think all of us had hands in, hearts in mouths. I mean, it was to be fair, it was a poor pass from Sessegnon, and it was cut out. But Lloris reached the loose ball as Leeds broke, and it hit straight at Ben Davies. Who Ben Davies, so I was giving a massive bollocking about him earlier. Did ever so well there to get back. An incredible block, to be fair to him. But Hugo Lloris had a really, really incredible let off. And I found it even more weird, Jamie, that when he came out, he almost like he was going to try and use his hand. He looked as if he was going to
rugby tackle Stuart Dallas just after he'd gone past him, and he would have been sent off.
Yeah. What did you make of that?
Look, he's got a few of these in him, Hugo Lloris. I mean, he's had a few now in recent weeks. Against Wolves, he was at fault for both goals, to be honest. Against Manchester City, their first goal, he just drops it straight at the feet of Ilkay Gundogan. Did he make any mistakes against Southampton? I can't honestly remember. You could even argue against Burnley and West United. If he comes and commands his 6-yard area, just gets rid of that ball when it's hanging in the air, then, maybe we don't concede from that set piece. So he's got a few little aberrations in him, Hugo, but I still wouldn't change him for the world. I still love him. And, he'll give you one of those a game, but he also make a couple of world-class saves in the game as well. So, look, that was a heart-and-mouth moment. Thank goodness we were 3-0 up at the time. And Stuart Dallas, when he's wearing a Northern Ireland jersey, I hope he puts that chance away. But when he was wearing a Leeds jersey yesterday, I was quite happy to see him dilly-dally and take so long and Ben Davies to come back. To be honest, even if he squared it for, I can't remember whether it was Rodrigo or Rafinha, it was an easy tap in for him as well. So it was an aberration from Stuart Dallas and also from Hugo. But we've got to look. They had a few good chances yesterday, and I think we've said that all along, haven't we? That a different day that could have been a little bit hairier. But it could have. To be honest, yesterday it could have been 9-3. It could have been 9-4 yesterday. There were so many chances at both ends of the pitch. But to go full circle back to Hugo, look, it wasn't his finest moment yesterday, but he's still our captain, and I love him to bits, and I'm delighted that he's going to be sticking around for next season as well.
Yeah, just on that new contract, I was interested, Lee, coming over to you, is that since he signed that new contract, obviously we've seen this flurry of errors. I mean...
the curse of the new contract.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it has been a real rough few weeks for him, Lee. I mean, anything there more sinister that we should be delving into? Or, it's just... I mean, he does pull out a worldy save after he makes these errors, which is even more incredible, to be honest, to him.
Yeah, I'm just expecting it to be like that look down the road. So all of a sudden we'll have to strip him of captaincy. So you give your captain a new contract, then you have to strip him of captaincy, and then you have to banish him, and he goes to Barcelona. Look, I think the world-class save that he pulled out to deny Gundogan, I think would have been his second goal. Was just, I mean, it was outrageous against City. You shouldn't be even able to do that. It was like a cat. It was unbelievable save. So look, Again, it's just sometimes it's silly mistakes. The problem is in goal, they hurt you, right? Because typically, if you make a mistake as a goalkeeper, it becomes a goal. But I do agree, Jamie, with the point you just made there about, if he comes and commands his box more, maybe that Burnley, or Rick, maybe you made that point. Sorry, lads. But I think if you do have that more commanding aura about him. Do you know what I mean? Or get somebody just to clear that out. It's a shame, but look, I love him. I think he's our captain. He's done. I always think that when Hugo is trying to play out from the back, right? This was my point I was making earlier in the show. I think he becomes more under pressure himself, right? Because I don't think for all the good things he does, his distribution has never been the best. Yeah, good point, Jay. But I think that, so now we're playing more, bringing it out from the back. Maybe that's affecting him. Maybe he's, maybe he's. I don't know. Does your confidence get affected when you've won a World Cup and you've made 400 club appearances? Yeah, I think it does. I think Conte's confidence gets affected when you lose 4 games out of 5 and you're not used to doing that. So sometimes you're in territory that you've never been before, and maybe that does affect your confidence. Does Matt Doherty's confidence get affected? He's had long COVID, as Jamie alluded to before. It's all these little things. So look, everyone's human at the end of the day. But I love Hugo. I don't think there's any more sinister. But it is a bloody coincidence, isn't it, Rick? He signed pens
since the contract,
and all of a sudden he's had a shockers. You think, really?
Yeah, Chris. I don't wonder, Chris. Do you mean is one of the maybe factors that we do keep changing? That back 3, back 5 in front of him, whether he almost feels alarmed by that, where, again, because he hasn't been playing consistently with the same back 4 like he did, that Pochettino era or spell where obviously he knew his back 4, back 5 were going to be every single week. Does that play an element into it, Chris, or is anything more that it's down to a Hugo?
Ricky, it sounds like you're putting him into the Ben Davies category, and
definitely not. Listen, Hugo, for me, what I think is incredible with Hugo is that even after he makes an error, that means he can consciously block that from his mind and then produce a wonderful save. But my only concern is that, as many have picked up in the comments, that the mistakes are coming at quite an alarming pace in a period of the season where we need stability at the back.
Yeah, I think Lee's right. When a goalkeeper makes a save, it is really highlighted because, of course, that mistake can really lead to a goal, and of course it's going to be very, very highlighted. But the saves that guy has produced over the last 10 years or so in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt have been incredible. Champions League saves in the Premier League, lots of different competitions, lots of different games. I absolutely adore the guy. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I just think that he's going through a bad spell at the moment, a bad few games. But I have absolutely no doubts about him. Of course, he'll be with the club for another couple of years. I just want to see him lift a trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We all do. Yeah, definitely. And again, I must credit Ben Davies there, just to be clear, on obviously working very hard, just to cover that point that Chris will obviously alarm me on there on with Ben Davies.
What was his rating out of 10 for you then yesterday?
I'll give him a 7 or 8. I will give him a 7 or 8 yesterday. Yeah. Really solid performance from Ben Davies. That was really solid. Again, crucial sliding block, because again, I mean, we all know with a clean sheet, listen, it builds confidence in that back line, and we've been few and far between, as Lee mentioned earlier, Brentford being the last one. And 4-0 coming over to you, Jamie. I know you said you laughed when this goal went in, but it was Kane yet again playing that superb ball over the top. Son taking it down really well. And then we saw that was the Premier League record for goal combinations. It was a superb ball, emphatically finished by Son. I think he needed that as well for his confidence. He has been on a little bit of a dip recently. What did you make of the goal itself, Jamie?
Yeah, I think for Sonny, obviously he had that sort of injury in the middle of January, which took him out of action for a bit, and he's just been sort of finding his feet again. And I think he now finally is back to full fitness again. And it's just, just cherish every moment we have of these two together, because you're never going to see anything like it again. The telepathic understanding they've got, they seem to be like friends off the pitch as well. The interview that they did together yesterday after the game, where they're just sort of looking at each other, longingly, this sort of loving look in their eyes. I mean, it's just so nice to see them, that we get to enjoy them both together at the height of their powers. So that goal was unbelievable ball from Harry, really well taken by Sonny and superbly finished by Sonny as well. There's not really much more to say. And the game, the Manchester City game the week before, the ball that Sonny played in for Harry in that game, and it was beautifully finished by Harry into the top corner. Just that little deft finish, which is, he made it look a lot easier than it is. Harry, they're just, again, a little bit like the boys have been saying, you run out of superlatives to describe Harry Kane, but you also run out of superlatives to describe this partnership, because the two of them are just fantastic together, and long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, come over to you. I mean, again, you've been one of the biggest, fiercest defenders of Min Son. I think over the last, 7 to 10 days, Son and the form, it goes up and down. And Chris, don't worry, I can see Chris is ready to go as well. We're definitely going to come around to Chris on Min Son.
Yeah, please, because I'm about to go and all.
No, I mean... Go in a good or a bad way. I mean, listen, he carved out a really good couple of chances on the day. You know, he was full of running, got his goal. You know, it feels with Son that many fans feel he kind of goes through purple patches where you get a good 6 or 7 goals. Then, you know, he kind of goes through the motions of games. And we spoke, you know, in the past about Son. If he wants to be of that level to be considered world class, you've got to be consistent on a regular basis. And maybe the metric we're judging on might be very, very harsh. I don't know. But for you, are you happy with what Son's bringing to the table so far this season?
Absolutely love the bloke. Absolutely love him. I think he's absolutely superb for this football club. He's Mr. Tottenham. I mean, some of the comments in here about he's not having his best season. Like, go and have a look. Like, the perception versus the reality. Who used to say that all the time? It's brilliant football club. 22 appearances this season in the Premier League. He scored 10 goals and got 5 assists. His record for one Premier League season is 17 goals and 10 assists. He's got another 16 games, and all he's got to do is go and score another 7 goals in 16 games. That's one every other game. He's going to nail that. Like, he's having a good season. He is having a good season. You've also got to put into the mix. He started the season under Nuno. He's now got a completely another manager as well. I think you have to throw that into the mix. I don't need to defend Son's records. I think they're absolutely excellent. He's an absolute baller. I cannot believe, and I'm very happy for this, cannot believe that no one has ever tried to sign the bloke. He will walk into any other Premier League team, in my opinion. Like, you go and spend 100 million on Jack Grealish, and no one's even sniffing around Son. Are you Chris, I'll bring you in, mate, because I know you're going to back me up on this as well.
They must have.
Honestly,
Other teams must have come in to try and
yeah, but come on.
Yeah. Now, other teams must have come in to try and sign Heung-min Son. An incredible player, my favourite player at the club. And I just think that with Kulusevski there now, he will probably provide a number of assists for Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, because I just think that so much pressure is put on the likes of Son and Kane so often, throughout the years. And I absolutely love the way that they look at one another. As Jamie said, the way that they looked at each other as though like they're in love. It was just it is an incredible partnership. Their connection is just simply incredible. But yeah, I've been very impressed with Heung-min Son. I know we all want a little bit more from players, but I just think that all of the other players in the team probably need to deliver that a little bit more, and take the pressure off Heung-min Son and Harry Kane some of the time. But I do think that DJ and Kulusevski will certainly do that.
Yeah,
I'll give you an unbelievable stat, Rick. Just quickly,
you go for it.
Unbelievable stat on Heung-min Son, right? The whole of last season, he never had one yellow card in an entire set. I know Gary Lineker went for his entire career, right? Let's just put that to one side. He didn't get booked once. And this season, in the Premier League as well, he also hasn't had a yellow card. So Son has gone through a season and a half. In fact, he's actually gone through 2.5 seasons, even though he got a red against for Gomez against Everton. He actually never got a yellow card that season either. That's actually incredible, isn't it? So maybe what we could say to Sonny, because he's so happy and he's so nice and everyone loves him, maybe if you've got a bit of a nasty streak in him, got a couple more bookings, maybe that would give him that extra bit of 1% or that extra edge to make him more consistent. But I think that's an incredible stat, don't you? Like,
no, it is.
That's mental.
I just wanted to say to Chris's point, I just wanted to say, Chris, if they look at each other as if they're in love. I don't know if Sonny's in love with Harry, but he has been on the end of his balls for quite a few years now.
Jamie, to stick with you. I mean, obviously, the question there on the screen asks about, has anyone trying to take Hugo away? And feel free to elaborate on that. But I mean, it's also good to have you on because, again, you've got close links to, obviously, media with Sky. Have you heard anything about Sonny ever being close to being speculated with other clubs? Is it the most bizarre one where he seems to still be here, sign that new contract?
I've never seen him linked with a move away, and signing that new contract last summer was as good as a signing in many ways because I think he's so happy and settled where he is. He loves the club, like Lee says. He's Mr. Tottenham, and over the summer when people were dragging Harry's name through the mud, saying, "Oh, let him go. He doesn't want to be here anymore." Sonny was the sort of the poster boy of this is what we want from somebody who just loves being at Tottenham and just loves the club. He's going to finish his career at Spurs. I reckon he's so happy to be there. He's so settled. We all love him. What can you say? What more can you say about Sonny?
Yeah. Well, I think people are dreading what's coming out your mouth.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Rick, that is another player, without question, without doubt, deserves the trophy at Spurs, Heung-min Son.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Do you think then, guys, I mean, Chris, to you, I mean, like I said to Lee, do you think the metric, Chris, that he's judged on, by some fans, where they expect him to be, that world-class standard every single game, is that massively harsh then, Chris? Where some feel that he is a purple patch player?
I do. When you think of the Champions League nights that we've had, he always delivered in those. Of course, the stadium opening, the game against Manchester City away in the Champions League. There are so many wonderful moments of Heung-min Son in a Spurs shirt I can think of. Incredible moments. And I just think that, like I said earlier, that the pressure that he's put on the likes of Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, I think is too much sometimes. And I think that, players around, those two need to probably deliver a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is also incredible is when you look at that partnership. Kane has scored 19 of the 37 goals, Son 18. It just shows you just how much really of an equal balance, I mean, that partnership is between the two. And listen, hopefully it's more to come. And Son has become the 13th player to score 10 plus goals in 6 consecutive seasons in the Premier League. So again, Son in terms of form, it's another great stat lead to add to what you said earlier.
Right? We've just said it out there. I mean, how can people argue with that? Like, you can't, maybe I'm answering my own question. Maybe people say, well, we'd be even better if he scored every game, but that's quite easy to turn around and say, well, actually, Kane, if he scored a hat-trick every game, it'd be even better. The levels that Sonny has produced at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, bar his first season, which if you go back to Spurs Twitter all them years ago, I'm sure everyone would go, get him out, he's rubbish, blah, blah, blah. The same as we did with Emerson, or doing with Emerson, the same that we have with Doherty, the same at the end of the day, he's been fantastic for us and had his best season in the Premier League last year, like I just read out, 17 and 10, and I think he could match that or even beat it this year. And it's in a transitional season, right? We started the season Nuno. I mean, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Conscious of time, guys, we've got to also fit in a Borough preview, so we're going to quickly go through some of the other individual player performances. Chris, coming back round to you. Christian Romero, I mean, he lost struck early on for Leeds in that free kick, but fortunately, he flashed his header wide. Improved as the game went on, although defensively at times looked a little bit shaky despite the clean sheet. Eric Dyer, plenty of interceptions throughout the game, and I think definitely since Dyer's come back, the defence has really benefited from him. So what did you make of the two centre-backs, Chris, and their performances?
And Ben Davies?
And Ben Davies, yeah, please, yeah. He's not letting me in the office, is he, tonight?
I thought they were really solid, actually. Eric Dyer and Christian Romero, I think together, they haven't played many games together as a partnership under Antonio Conte. So it's really nice to see. And I think that they will be very solid going forward. And, the spine of the Tottenham Hotspur team is extremely important. And I think Romero and Dyer will be a very good partnership going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I must just say, Faz on the screen there says Son renewed his contract at the club's lowest point. And I'll amend to that. No, 100%. We can't forget that.
Good point.
Absolutely. Jamie, coming back around to you. Højbjerg, we touched upon him earlier, used the ball really well when Spurs did break, and they worked hard in front of the back three. Winks as well. I mean, to be fair to him, it was a good showing from the midfielder. Two of the Spurs midfielders that are really heavily criticised. I'm not sure who criticises these players these days. Absolutely preposterous, really.
Yeah, look, there are two fellas who cop an awful lot of stick on Twitter, and anytime you see that team news come out an hour before kickoff, and Højbjerg and Winks are both in there, or Davies, or Dyer, or Doherty, or whoever it might be, you just look at the replies underneath and, oh, right, we're losing. It's just, come on. And I thought both of them were fantastic yesterday. Højbjerg was speaking about plenty, about the dustman. What was it? Claude Makelele was called for years, wasn't it? The water carrier or something. I'm not comparing him to Claude Makelele levels, but I'm just saying he does all the dirty, unseen work, and he does it well, and he puts a shift in for you, and he leaves everything out in that pitch. And that's what we want to see, and that's what Antonio Conte wants from his players as well. So I love Højbjerg. I will never hear a bad word said against him. And Winksy, just, another man who bleeds Tottenham and has fought and worked his socks off when people have been writing his Spurs career off and saying he needs to go and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He's probably, when everyone's fit, he's probably fourth choice midfielder, but Antonio Conte trusts him, and I thought he was great yesterday, and he can still pick out a slide rule pass. And yeah, delighted for him as well. So yeah, no, definitely for both midfielders yesterday, 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, there you go. We're getting the score ratings in already from Jamie. Lee, do you want to give any ratings there? Or are you happy just to give your thoughts on those players?
I just think, I touched upon Pierre earlier, didn't I? But I think with Harry Winks, again, another fantastic ball to slide in Sessegnon for the opening goal. And I know Adrian saying in the comments here, yes, but we need an upgrade and we need a ball carrying midfielder. But we can't buy one of them today, Adrian. Right? To be fair, there you go, mate. So we can't buy one of them today. So what we're talking about the midfielders that we've actually got. I'm not sitting there saying them 4 midfielders are going to be at the club for the next 4 years. They're going to be our first choice and we're going to win the league with them. What I'm saying is Harry Winks passed a really good forward pass ball, assist of an assist. Is that what it's called? I don't know. But it was
the pre-assist or the semi-assist. Yep.
Højbjerg it wasn't just a good ball, as Jamie said there. It was a ridiculous ball. It was a ball that shouldn't, it's literally pinpoint. If Kevin De Bruyne is pinging that around, you'd be seeing that reruns all over the gaff. But because it's the dustman, everyone's just like, whatever. This is the thing. And this is where the levels of Conte comes in, of getting people to get at different levels. Ben Davies, you've seen it. All them players that we've... Eric Dyer, do not tell me that we didn't miss Eric Dyer in that month that he was out for.
Yeah,
we missed him. He come back in, and now Romero there and Dyer there. It just looks so much more balanced. So, this it's a nice time to build on. We just got to get that consistency level, a little bit like Son's purple patches, as everyone likes to say. Tottenham have, I don't know if they're purple patches or the opposite of a purple patch, but it's that up and down, that crazy train. That's
brown patches.
Yeah, exactly. The brown patches. We have to. You look at the run of fixtures. You look at games in. And I've always been one to do that. And friend of the show, obviously, one of our own people, Jason McGovern's always says, just look at the next game. Look, the next game is Middlesbrough. That is the only game that we need to worry about, and go there and get through to the next round of the FA Cup. We have to go and win well and get through to the next round. And then we go again against Everton and forget everything else that's, getting carried away about, where we can be in 4th place and so on and so forth. When you look at other people's fixtures in and around 4th, they're very, very tough. I mean, on paper, most people, 95% of people would have said Man United will beat Watford, but they didn't. It was 0-0. We've got games in hand. They don't mean nothing. Let's just not worry about them, and let's just worry about what our next game is. And and again on the midfielders, just quickly on the midfielders, I think, and I know Conte's maybe said this, and maybe I'm biased because he said it and I'm saying what he said, but honestly, I genuinely think he's trying to get a situation where it doesn't matter if it's Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skip, or Winks that plays.
Correct.
He knows he can trust them to play in that system. And actually, lads, listeners, viewers, honestly, just have a think about this. Wouldn't you rather a manager put in a different player to a different versus different opposition that suited that opposition better? Does that
courses for courses?
Yeah. I don't think I articulate myself very well. What I'm trying to say is that actually Winks might be a better fit than a Bentancur for a certain game. And Bentancur.
Yeah, I think yesterday's a prime example, actually, because, against Leeds United, you want somebody who'll pick out a slide rule pass, and Harry Winks does that, 10 minutes into the game, and you're 1-0 up.
Do you know what I mean? So I just think he's got his 4 there, and it's not who's first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice. It's right, who fits? Who have I got available? Because obviously, I ain't got Skip at the moment, but who have we got available at that time, and actually who's better suited to the opposition that we've got in front of us? Tactically, for me, that makes more sense than just going, these are our 2 first choice midfielders, and we're going to play them every week.
You can't operate like that as a minister, and you can't operate like that as a club, because you can't just run 11 players into the ground. As much as we might not be happy about the bench options, I can see, Chris, you want to come in there as well, right?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, the thing is, with Antonio Conte coming in the last 3-4 months, he has improved players, because arguably would Harry Winks have played that forward pass before
I don't
Antonio
know.
Conte came.
It would be sideways or
No.
backwards, wouldn't it? Yep.
Boy Pierre's assist, and of course, as we've said, the wing back Sessegnon to Doherty, for the goal. I just think he's improved so many players' games so far. In an ideal world, in the summer, let's hope that half this team does change. But from now until the end of the season, he's got to get the best out of these players in this squad, to try and finish in the top 4.
Just on to John's question and now on the screen. John, as we said earlier, Kane scoring 19 of those 37 goals, Son with the 18 again. Such a remarkable partnership. And how equal, like you said, that was. Just very quickly, Stephen Bergvall, when he came on, added some energy. You'd imagine he may get some minutes in the Cup on Tuesday against Borough. Emerson Royale, another one, when he came on, denied a big opportunity. That really, again, if Emerson could offer more in the final third, you may have felt he could have scored there. Dane Scollett, again, it was quite nice to see him get some minutes very, very late on into that game. And just to finish up on the fact that obviously we're recording today in which Leeds manager Marcelo Bielsa has lost his job. I think Leeds fans will draw many similar parallels to, of course, Mauricio Pochettino, because when you look at the period where Bielsa was at Leeds and Spurs and how we had a historic, rise under Poch where we got to a Champions League final and the way the culture changed within the club. There'll be Leeds fans feeling very, very similar to this. And it's quite remarkable when you look at the two Argentinian men that have put, respective stamps on those two clubs for very different reasons. And so emotional about how a decision, changes it. Because, coming over to you, Jamie, I see from Leeds fans this real outpouring of, number one, there's frustration among some fans of letting go. And then on the other hand, there's fans that, again, they're accepting of the change. What did you make of that from Leeds fans, the way in which Bielsa's departure seems to have sparked a real difference amongst their fan base?
Well, you say a difference. I think probably 90% of Leeds fans are incredibly upset. And to compare it to our situation, for the 24 hours after Poch was sacked, I was just a shell. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I practically cried myself to sleep the night that he was sacked. I was so sad to see him go. And I still love him and I still miss him. And one day he'll be back. Who knows when? But Marcelo Bielsa will always be an absolute hero, godlike status for Leeds fans, on a par with Don Revie or Howard Wilkinson for them. He made them fall back in love with that club again. Many of them had felt disillusioned and fallen out of love with the club. And that's what he did for Leeds fans with Leeds. That's what Mauricio Pochettino did for Spurs fans with Spurs. He made us fall in love with Spurs again. So it's completely natural. You're going to have mixed emotions. I think for Bielsa, what was ultimately his downfall was that he didn't have a plan B, or he wasn't prepared to sacrifice the style and the flair that Leeds play with and just try to be hard to beat, because they're so easy to beat, Leeds, and you know that you can just tickle their underbelly and you're going to get an easy win. And he wasn't prepared. He was so stubborn and set in his ways and unprepared to change from that. And that was ultimately his downfall. But look, Leeds fans will be feeling very sad that he's gone. And you're right, very similar sort of parallels with Poch for us. And of course, Bielsa was a great mentor for Poch, and Poch always credits Marcelo Bielsa as somebody that he learned a lot from. So yeah, a sad day for Leeds, and sorry that we were the ones, Leeds fans, to finally hammer the final nail into Marcelo Bielsa's coffin. But it seems that Jesse Marsh is going to be the man they're going to get in. So who knows what he's going to hold for them? But yeah.
Yeah, interesting. We've got a couple of Leeds fans watching in the comments. So again, it's just we'll see what happens obviously with that football club. Just so we finish up on Leeds, we had some couple of listener statements in. Darren Blake 84 says, great result performance. I don't want to get too carried away with the result. The match could have been 4-4. Still need work and conceding chances, but hopefully this result gives us the confidence and belief to push on. Top 4 may be out of our hands, but we need a strong finish to the season. Jorgen J983 says, is it just me or do we still wobble at the back a little bit? Imagine 0-0 after 80 minutes. We still do have a couple of mistakes in us, don't we? And again, he says, overall happy with the result and of course Son's performance. COYS. Damien Dezanic says, still allowing too many shots for my liking. Any other day, Leeds may have scored 2 or 3. And finally, Drew Wilton says, is the panel concerned that at a winning position, Romero just back from injury and Kane were not rested, especially with Borough coming up, who will be rough? Well, that is what we're going to next. We are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners that are on audio. Taking into this break, we've got a couple of Borough podcasters very kindly giving up their time. We've got the Borough Breakdown podcast and the 12 Men Borough podcast that are giving us their thoughts ahead of the game. And like I say, for our watching audience on YouTube, still nearly 700 of you plus watching us strong. Thank you so much. Guys, we'll do a quick 5 on this.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button. 700. We've got like 25 likes. That's ridiculous. Come on, team. Team Last Word on Spurs. Hit the like button.
Lee McQueen, 2022. It'll be forever engraved. Hit that like button. Right. Lee, let's start with you. Borough on Tuesday. Massive game for the football club. Listen, I think cup competitions for Spurs, domestic cups, always massively important. A real opportunity here for Spurs to progress to the quarterfinals. Do you see Conte tweaking that team too much ahead of the game on Tuesday night?
Oh, it's a horrendous game. You know, we were talking about best time to play or the right opposition or whatever. In my opinion, this is one of the worst times to play Middlesbrough away because he's got them playing some really good stuff. I think they've won 5 out of the last 6. I think they're unbeaten or something like that. Ridiculous.
Yeah, they lost at the weekend, but before that, I think they won 10 of their last 16 games since he's turned up. Because I've done an amazing job there. Amazing job.
Yeah, he's a good manager, and he gets them playing the way that he gets them playing, and they're very, very difficult to beat. All the stuff that Conte wants us to be, to be fair. So it's going to be a tough game under the lights as well. Midweek fixtures, always tough. I think he has to go strong, in my opinion. I think that this is really important to us. There's no European football this season for us. Obviously, the Carabao Cup's just been finished anyway now. So, the only fixtures that we've got to concentrate on is Premier League and FA Cup. And I really hope that we've got another, what would it be? Another 3-4 fixtures in the FA Cup.
Yeah, we'll pick finals if we do proceed. Yep.
Yeah, and on top of the Premier League one. So he's got to go strong. We've also got the added benefit of having a 12:30 kickoff against Leeds, which typically are horrendous for us, for Spurs. I think that's the first one we won.
I think 8 out of the last 13. We've really struggled with 12:30
craziness. So the fact that we've had an early kickoff and we play Middlesbrough on Tuesday, and then we've got another 6 days before Everton. So I think that's going to start to help us a bit. Look, I think he needs to go strong. But I do agree with the Romero piece. I don't know whether he'll play. I'm not sure whether he'll play. But if it was me, I would play the best possible team available to Antonio Conte for that opposition, and I'd go out and I'd win well, because I think winning breeds confidence. Confidence grows. You go into that Everton game in the next round of the FA Cup off the back of a good win against Leeds as well. And Everton are bad as well at the moment. I'll probably come home to roost that, but Dele Alli or whatever. But we need to beat Borough, mate, 100%.
And a weather update there from Keith Browning, who says weather cold, 3 degrees, but probably dry with light wind. There you go. A nice weather prediction for Chris there, who's been all over the country in the last since is it Chris? Is this your 45th game of the season?
Something like that.
What number is this?
Good effort. Seriously, good effort.
That's excluding the under 21s and under 18s and under 16s. Chris, thoughts going into this game? Also, you're going to be one of those travelling away supporters on Tuesday night. It won't be an easy game. I mean, Chris Wilder's gone and played some really good football. Obviously, he knows the Premier League, managed Sheffield United. What's your thoughts going into this game, Chris? What kind of team would you expect and want to see Conte to play on Tuesday night?
What I would love to see is a very, very strong lineup. I completely agree with Lee. After this Middlesbrough game, it is 6 days to the Everton game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't go very, very strong. I feel that us Tottenham Hotspur fans need a trophy, dare I say it. 31 years since our last FA Cup. It is unbelievable. 1991 since Gary Mabbutt last lifted the FA Cup for Spurs. And I just think that we've got a real chance this year. Why not? Antonio Conte loves winning trophies. He's a born winner. He wins trophies everywhere he goes. But yes, you're right, Ricky. Middlesbrough away is going to be a difficult game. I feel if we go strong, we get the job done. We scored 3 goals within the first half hour yesterday at Leeds. So, why not? Why can't we go out and do the same against Middlesbrough? And hopefully we will go through to the quarterfinals, because, of course, then it will only be a quarterfinal or semi-final, and then we'll be in the final. So hopefully we can go very far, and hopefully Antonio Conte will go very, very strong. That is exactly what I want.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, Jamie Carrera, to you. It's got the makings. I want to be wrong with a banana skin here. Borough in really, really good form at the moment. I know obviously they got beaten at the weekend, but I think that when you look at their results before, it's a bit of an anomaly, that one. They've been so strong under Chris Wilder. I think for Spurs, Conte-wise, I think he's got to, 2 FA Cup finals under Chelsea. I might be right in saying that. I think he's got to. So obviously, listen, he likes the FA Cup. Do you expect a strong lineup, Jamie, for you?
Yeah, I think he'll probably make 3, maybe 4 changes from the side that we saw yesterday. I think he'll switch up both wing backs. I think Reguilon and Royal might start instead of Sessegnon and Doherty. I think the back 3 will probably stay as it is. He might look to maybe rest Christian Romero and give Davinson Sanchez a game. And I think one of either Kulusevski or Sonny will be rested for the start of the game, and you might see Steven Bergwijn or Lucas starting. But remember, you can make 5 substitutions in the FA Cup as well, which gives you a real advantage off the bench. You say Middlesbrough in good form. They have just hit the skids a little bit in recent weeks, and they lost to Bristol City a couple of weeks ago. Then they won at home against West Brom, which is a decent performance. But I've got a good pal who's a Barnsley fan. I was at that game yesterday, and he just texted me after saying, mate, your boys are going to have a field day with Middlesbrough. They were woeful today. So that gives me some confidence. Yeah. I can't remember who it was that messaged in a little bit earlier on saying that we struggle against a low block. I think that's what Middlesbrough will try to do to contain us on Tuesday night, as they did against Manchester United in the previous round. But I just think our quality will tell eventually. And I think he will go strong because he realised this is the only chance left for silverware this season and how important that is for Spurs, how starved we've been of it. So let's hope we get through. Let's hope we get a home draw in the quarterfinals against the winners of Nottingham Forest versus Huddersfield, and hope we get through that one as well. But look, I expect us to win and win well on Tuesday night. I think Borough have been doing very well of late, but they've definitely got their eyes more on trying to get into those championship playoff places and come back up to the Premier League than it is on the FA Cup, whereas Tuesday night is important for us. So expect a strong side, expect a decent performance again, and expect a comfortable Tottenham win.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Luke De Greco at Scott Cott Gaffer says, "Can we do it on a wet Wednesday night? A cold, wet windy night on Tuesday night in Middlesbrough? That could go really, really wrong." Let's stick with you, Jamie. Let's go for a prediction. What are you going for, Jay?
3-0 Spurs.
3-0 Spurs. Okay, lovely. Lee, let's come over to you. What are you going to go for?
I think, actually, to be fair, you give me more confidence now because I've just heard that from Jamie, and I'm looking at what he lines up. He does play 3 at the back as well, doesn't he? He plays 5 across the middle. So he plays like a 3-5-2, which might help us as well, like almost like a light for light with our 3 at the back there, 3 at the back. I'm going to go for a Tottenham win, but I think, Jack's just put on there 2-1 Spurs after extra time. I think we'll get it done in the 90, but I think it'll be 2-1.
Yeah, I might be correct. Do we have extra time in the FA Cup? Do we have extra time in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
It is extra time. Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. There you go. 2-1 from Leeds. Chris, sounds like it might be a long night for you based on Leeds' prediction. What do you think you're going to go for? Because you've got a show straight after the game like us. What are you going to go for?
Yes, I'm going to go for 2-1 Spurs. But to be honest, Rick, I don't care what the score is as long as we're in that quarter-final draw.
Yeah. Oh, man, I totally agree with you. I'm going to go for 3-1 Spurs. I agree. Listen, it's a night where, to be honest with you, I think for all of us fans that, domestic trophies, I know some fans, for everyone, it's the top 4. For me, this is now the most important game of our season. People might laugh at that. I honestly, in my mind, it is the most important game of our season now. We have to go through because, like Chris, you said, it's far, far too long without a trophy. When you mentioned those players earlier that, have yet to win silver at this club, it'll be a travesty if we don't go on and win trophies.
Can you imagine
for me?
Sorry,
Chris.
Sorry. I was going to say, can you imagine what it would do to Tottenham Hotspur, us as fans, with Antonio Conte in his first season putting a trophy in the trophy cabinet? It would just set us up so well for next season, set us up so well for the summer, for the summer transfer window. So I just hope that we go all out and try and win this competition.
I was just going to say, it's a fact for me that we haven't even been to an FA Cup final for 31 years. That big day out at Wembley where you get your shirt on first thing in the morning and you have your breakfast and your champagne and it's the whole day out. We haven't even had that for 31 years. I was 8 years old. I remember running around my living room in Northern Ireland when we won the 1991 FA Cup. And the fact that we haven't even been back there in a final for that long. We've lost 8 semi-finals in a row or something ridiculous.
So
I was going to say just to get to the final would do me, but no, obviously once you get to the final, you want to win the thing. But look, I would agree with you, Ricky. I think Tuesday is massive because I desperately want to win the FA Cup this season. I'm fed up with all those others, with the Chelsea fans, the Gooners, the West Ham fans saying, "Oh yeah, but you still got no trophies." So please,
wouldn't that shut everyone up though? It would. And
yeah,
I mean, these are the games that Conte's come in for, isn't it? These are the games that you need to have that winning mentality to get over the line. And like Mark says on the screen there, if Chris can do the marathon, Spurs can win a trophy. We're going to hear all that from Chris in a second. Right, been a real pleasure having you guys back on. Chris, listen, likewise, I know you've been unbelievable on the content recently. Where can people find you? If I can't believe they don't know where you are before, where can we find you, Chris?
My YouTube channel is called Tottenham Fan Chris Cowlin, and got lots of very special guests on. Had some fantastic guests on recently, the likes of Clive Tilsley on. I've got Michael Dawson on this coming week to talk about Tottenham Hotspur. So yeah, lots going on.
Fantastic, Chris. Always lovely to have you on, and like I say, looking forward to having you back with us very, very soon. Jamie, real pleasure having you on tonight. Been far, far too long since we last had you on. Where can we hear your dulcet tones? Where can we find you, Jamie?
You know where to find me. Sky Sports News. I'll be plugging away there. I'll hopefully be asking Antonio Conte all the hard questions in the weeks and months to come. But I've got a bit of time away coming up. I'm off to cover a bit of golf in Florida, get a bit of sunshine on my back like Mr. McQueen. So I'll be looking forward to that. But listen, always nice to be on and chat Tottenham, especially after a comprehensive victory yesterday. So thanks for having me back, Rick.
Oh, my pleasure. Been lovely having you on. Been far, far too long, Jamie. We'll make it happen. I promise you. Next time a lot more quicker. Hopefully Conte's still here. Fingers crossed. I really, really hope he is. Lee, come over to you to close it. You've also got a lot going on at the moment, Lee. Tell us, of course, that you've got your own podcast. Where can we find that?
Yeah, for sure. So the YouTube channel is Phoenix 51, which is my tech business, but actually sponsors the In the Line of Hire, which is our podcast video cast. I don't know what we call it, stream. We do a live show every week, the morning after, the night before. This week slightly delayed. So if you're big fans of The Apprentice, then please tune in. It's really good. We've got all of the past winners on, or past finalists on. This week I've got Scarlett on, who was a finalist that narrowly lost to Karina 2 years ago before COVID hit. So yeah, it's fantastic. We review the current crop of the 2022 candidates in the TV show The Apprentice, and we've got some really good guests coming on. So it's a fantastic chat. So if you're up for it, just give us a follow on at Lee McQueen, and you'll find it all out. Fantastic.
And to quickly close the show, because I didn't have a chance to ask before, Chris, obviously you are running London Marathon. Tell us a bit more about that and where people can sponsor you if they wish to do so.
Yeah, raising money for prostate cancer. The London Marathon this year is on the 2nd of October 2022. Really looking forward to it. In training at the moment, working very, very hard. So if you head over to my Twitter page or my YouTube page, all of the details are below. Thank you very much.
Is it like Dijon? Are you suffering, Chris?
I'm suffering. I'm on salads, all the healthy eating at the moment. The
haircut
water
as well, fella. You've had a haircut.
The difference is Decky says he loves suffering. I'm not sure if Chris loves it that much.
You're probably right.
I'm not sure if Adrian's being sarcastic there when he says, I'll see you at the other 23 games tomorrow. I think he might mean it. I'm not sure. Right. Like I say, thank you so much, guys, for all your incredible comments. Likewise, I think, like Chris as well, we are going to be back with you on Tuesday night for instant reaction to Tottenham Hotspur, hopefully progressing in the FA Cup. From Chris, from Lee, from Jamie, like I say, who gives us his prediction there over again. Fantastic. From all the guys here, please keep safe, keep well, and as always,